Good afternoon and welcome to Chronic Visibility. Have I got a great show for you today? One of the things that I started doing when I first decided that I wanted to take control of my health was starting to read the labels on everything. I wanted to know what it was that I was eating and what these ingredients were that I was eating and putting into my body. Very often, though, we neglect to check the ingredients of things that we put on our bodies. We neglect the fact that our skin is one of the largest organs on our bodies, for our bodies, and provides nourishment to our cells and organs. Now, before I forget, I just want to remind you that I am not a doctor, and there should be that little disclaimer going across the bottom of your screen right now. I am not a doctor. I am a patient, and everything that I bring to you is from the patient perspective. I am sitting today with a wonderful, wonderful lady by the name of Nina Owens. Say hi, Nina.
Hi, how are you?
Nina is the proud owner of a skin care line called NPO Creations. I assume that has something to do with your name.
Yes.
Yes. Nina Owens, okay, and her line is an all-natural line. A real all-natural line. And Nina and I are going to talk a little bit about that right now. Nina, let me start by asking you then about product labeling. Product labeling. We see the use of these two terms, two words, all natural now everywhere that you go. You know, everything is all natural.
Right.
What does that phrase really mean? Now, I'm talking about the labeling that we see in the stores,
right,
if you will.
Right. Okay, first I want to say I am not a doctor as well.
Okay, that's right. No doctors
yes,
in here.
I'm not a doctor as well. I just research and I do history, and I always tell my customers, do not take my word for anything. Always research what anyone tells you.
We are preaching research on chronic visibility. That's what we are doing. Don't just sit there and listen to what we are saying.
Right.
Look it up, read from yourself, go to credible sources on the
Right.
internet and read.
Right.
Sorry.
So, unfortunately, there's not a lot of regulation when it comes to cosmetics. The FDA, it's in two categories. It's in drug and body cosmetics. And the FDA regulates the drug portion, but not really the cosmetic portion. So basically, you can just kind of just say what you want and just kind of say it's all natural, and the FDA does not really regulate it. And currently now, 80% of the ingredients in personal care products have tons of chemicals in it.
80%?
80%.
Look it up. Don't believe what we're
Right.
saying. Look
Right.
it up. Read
Look
it
it
for
up.
yourself. Wow.
And this is in our shampoo, toothpaste, lotions, just everyday products that you use in your house. It's really terrible. It's really terrible.
Wow. So how much of the products that we use and put on our skin are actually absorbed into our bloodstream?
Yeah, and that's another thing. It said that about 60% is absorbed into our bloodstream. And it's actually said that I was doing some research, and it said that putting chemicals on your skin may actually be worse than actually eating it.
Oh, wow.
Actually worse, because when we put things in our mouth, we have our saliva and enzymes to help break it down. But when we put it on our skin, it goes directly into our bloodstream. So just imagine if you're putting chemicals on your skin day after day, year after year, what it's doing to your body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, wow. That being said, now that was mind blowing. I wasn't expecting that. So that being said, Let's talk a little bit about some of the most commonly used substances that we see on products, skin care and cosmetic products, and some of the dangers that they present. Let's start talking about paraben.
Right.
Now, where do we most commonly see this substance used?
Right. Paraben is in a lot of our lotions and just everyday, products that we use, shampoos. And the reason why they put paraben is a synthetic, it makes the shelf life longer. So yeah, it's a synthetic product that helps to preserve the product. So, and it's been linked to cancer. It's been linked to organ damage, just all types of stuff. So paraben is like one of the number ones, but there's petroleum and aluminum and sodium sulfate. It's just all of these just wonderful things that are just in our.
Well, I'm going to say now, petroleum is something that, this is something that we've been using.
Yeah.
We use this all the time. Like, this is something that's been in every hair care product. I remember as I was, even as a young girl, growing up, that this is one of the first,
out.
Right, you got to put that Vaseline
out.
Now, what are the dangers? I think I can sensibly, I haven't done the research that you have for your line of work, but just out of the common sense now at this age, the idea of putting Vaseline on my skin kind of freaks me out a little bit. Like, why was I doing that to myself? But can you talk a little bit about petroleum? Like, what does the constant regular use of petroleum, what can you expect to, or what are some of the dangers of doing that?
Yeah, petroleum is it's another way to preserve the product as well, but it's been linked to cancers and all types of problems with skin and just long-term effects, and it's just really one of those monster toxin that we just should not be using. It's just really bad for us. It just really is.
I remember when I realized that petroleum was really damaging my skin. I was young. I must have been like a teenager when I realized that, because I found out that I would break out with pimples.
Right.
I used to get really bad breakouts from, putting that stuff really clogs the
clogs your pores,
and it prevents your skin from breathing. And I figured that out a long time ago. But in terms of what to use, like when I was younger, I really didn't know what was, if in fact there were many options for me and for us back then. So yeah, I can definitely speak to that. And that's what you use before you have a fight.
Exactly.
Get
your
your
Vaseline out. Get your Vaseline out.
Get your Vaseline out. Right.
So it kills the bacteria in these products so they can have a long shelf life, as long as 3 years. So imagine if it's killing the bacteria in the product, what it's doing to our skin. Just think about that for a second. Like, that's just, that sometimes we don't really think about that. It's just like, wow.
Wow, that's amazing. I never thought of petroleum as a preservative. I think the common misconception is that it's something that we use to lubricate, like a lubricant. But as a preservative, I never thought of that. I never thought of that. What about sulfate? Now, there's recently been a movement against using sulfate shampoos and things like that. What are the dangers of using sulfate products with sulfate?
Now, according to the environmental working group Skin Deep, they say that it has organ toxicity, development, reproducing problems, irritation to the skin and to the eyes. It's just really, really bad. So it's right up there with parabens and aluminum and yeah.
Oh, speaking of aluminum, now, ladies and gentlemen, when
Yeah.
when I invited Nina to come on
Yeah,
this show,
let's do it.
she really wanted to talk about aluminum. Aluminum
Right.
is like her nemesis. She
Right.
was really wanting to talk about that. So let's get to it.
Right,
What about
right.
aluminum?
Okay, now during my research, I found and I discovered that aluminum is an antiperspirant that's in deodorant. And what that does, that stops you from sweating. So it clogs up your pores and it stops you from sweating so you don't sweat and you don't smell. So when you sweat, toxins are released from underneath your arm. So if you're not sweating, where
Wow.
are the toxins going? It's going back into your bloodstream. So it is been confirmed, according to my research, it's been confirmed that it's linked to breast cancer and Alzheimer's disease. They have cases showing that patients that had breast cancer had aluminum in their bloodstream. Yeah.
Wow. What is that website again that you got that from?
Well, this one was the Environmental Working Group Skin Deep.
Skin Deep.
That was for the sulfate.
So I'd like to move on now to asking you like about your journey and deciding to move forward and develop products. You know, what was your motivation for doing this? And how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for approximately about 4 years, 3.5, 4 years. There was a lady that was selling scented shea butter, and it was so nice because I've always been a fan of shea butter. And it was just her packaging, everything, how she just presented it, her jars, everything was just wonderful. So I offered to help her to try to market it and sell it because I was like, wow, this is such a great product. And she wasn't interested in a partner. She was just like, do your research, do your homework, you know, you can kind of do it on your own. And that's what I did. I researched and I studied and I decided I thought about what can I do that would be different from her. Like, I didn't want to do the exact same thing that she was doing. So I said, shea butter has tons of benefits, but how can I make it even better? So I decided to incorporate essential oils in my products, in my shea butter. So because I've always been a fan of essential oils and know all of the benefits, a lot of the benefits, the healing benefits of essential oils. So I decided to incorporate it in my shea butter. And a lot of my scents are mood-based. So I have scents that will uplift you, that will make you feel peaceful, that will make you feel sexy, and just
I want some of that one to make me feel sexy.
confident,
Right.
and just overall, just wellness, just positive wellness. So what I do, I incorporate the essential oils, and I only use a grade A essential oil. And I want to give a little plug to. There's a store on Atlantic, right off of Bond, Armoire, that I buy my essential oils from, and they have this guy in there that that's all he does is just make sure that the essential oils are top-notch essential oils, and they get them from all over the world.
Now, I've heard you use this phrase, essential oils. What does that mean?
Okay, essential oils are plants. So like lavender's a plant, rosemary's a plant, and there's a distilling process that they do to extract the oils from the plant, and it gives you tons of healing benefits. And for example, lavender, a lot of people know that it relaxes you, it helps you to sleep. So if you have problems with sleeping, it's good to just put a little bit of lavender maybe in the back of your neck or a little bit on your pillow. And if you need some upliftment, lemongrass is really good for that, and it's just stuff for your hair and just all types of different remedies that essential oils can do.
So is shea butter an essential oil?
No, shea butter is not an essential oil. Shea butter comes from Africa, Ghana, well, different parts of Africa, and it's a nut, and it's on a tree, And if you go to my website, which we'll leave at the end of the program, you can see I have videos on my website how the women in Africa take the nut and they crack it, and it's this whole process of how the shea butter is made.
I've personally benefited from the use of shea butter in my hair primarily. My hair is extremely dry. It doesn't hold anything very long. Some would say that it's because of my autoimmune condition, Sjogren's syndrome, that I don't maintain a whole moisture in my eyes and my hair and scalp and things like that. But the only thing that seems to work and that seems to nourish my hair is the shea butter. And I personally prefer things without fragrances.
Okay.
And so I do like the fact that the shea butter that, I purchased from you, it has, it's just a straight shea butter, no smells, and I put it in my hair and skin, and it works very well.
And I also whip my shea butter, because a lot of times you buy the shea butter in that container and it's really hard and you can't really get it. So I just put it in my blender and I whip it to make it smooth. And I don't add anything to the raw shea butter that I sell, the one that you're talking about. It's just plain shea butter.
I like that. I don't like fragrances. I'm not a person that likes fragrances, and I prefer not to have one. Share. You were telling me when we talked about this interview and this show, you mentioned to me that you had an experience using essential oils, where you saw firsthand the benefits of using those.
Right. I had this. Well, it was like this little lump on my wrist, and I didn't know what it was, and it was like kind of spongy, and when you press it, it would kind of hurt, and it was like just a dime shape, and I didn't know what it was. So I'm a vet, so I went to the VA, and the doctor was just like, "Oh, it's common, it's common, it's common," and I was like, "But doc, what's the name of this? Like, what is this?" And she just kept saying, "Oh, it's common, it's a cyst, and it's just common." And I was just like, okay, well, how do I get rid of it? Where did it come from? And only thing she could just really say that it was common. She was like, I can get it surgically removed, but there's no guarantees it won't grow back. And so I was just really annoyed. And I just went home and Googled it. And it came up as ganglion cyst. And I mean, it is in fact a common thing, but I was just reading all of these different people were just on these blogs of how much pain people were in, and they have this technique that they call smashing, and it's like you take a Bible and you smash it. And I was just like, okay, absolutely not. That's not going to happen. And some people had it drained, but they complained that it grew back. So I was a member of a site called Essential Oil Testimony. And I went onto the site and I just put in ganglion cyst, and it was just all of these testimonies of people that use essential oils for that particular cyst. And it was, some people use lavender, some people use oregano, some people use thyme. So I used the lavender didn't really work, and I used thyme. And can I tell you, in 1 month, it was gone. Like, I woke up one morning and it was so small, and I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So, of course, when I went back to the doctor, she's going to say that, it probably was on its way, getting ready to go away anyway. And I was just like, this is just crazy.
This is a pet peeve of mine. The doctors, they seem to, number one, they don't seem to ever want to find the source of a problem you have. They constantly want to just put a Band-Aid over it. They treat what is ailing you at the time and not try to figure out why it's bothering you.
Right.
And number two, they just, and I guess in medical school, they have absolutely no training whatsoever on anything natural. So that, when you're talking to them about something that you may be using, it's like you're speaking a foreign language to them.
Right.
I have a situation right now where I reached out to one of my doctors who wanted me to start taking aspirin. I already take turmeric. I
Right.
take turmeric every day. I take between 1,000 and 2,000 milligrams a day, depending on what's going on with me at the time.
Right.
That's another show. I'll tell y'all about how that works for me. But my question to this doctor was, okay, so I'm taking turmeric. Do I still need to take aspirin? Turmeric is a blood. It does have blood thinning properties. I have yet to get a response. Like they just seem not to be educating doctors at all on anything natural, And I'm typically not a conspiracy theorist, but you gotta wonder.
I am totally. You
gotta.
Don't get me started.
You gotta wonder. What is the whole point of the whole process? I mean, it's very annoying, particularly for persons that suffer with the conditions that I suffer with. And that'll be another topic that we talk about another time. But, again, the fact that you managed to save yourself was something that she could not admit to.
Right. And this is 3 years in the running, and it has not grown back. And I mean, it's just like, I just applied it like every day directly on the skin. And I tell you, I woke up one morning, it was just like barely and I couldn't even believe it myself. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And
I'm going to tell you too about me and shea butter. Shea butter, black soap. I've got to talk about the black soap.
Okay.
Sorry. I mean, the black soap, it doesn't matter what I use. I've found so many different soaps. First of all, there are people who say they're making black soap, and they're making it, mass producing it. And when they start to mass produce it, it's when you start to see that they're adding other things to it. And I don't, it just, my body tells me that when something else is in it.
Right.
Because if I start breaking out using black soap, I know that this black soap is not black soap.
Right.
The only thing that has ever cleared up my skin in any situation, any rash, any sort of irritation to the skin is black soap.
Right. Yeah, because people were talking about black soap for the longest, and I was using black soap, and it was breaking out my skin, it was drying my skin, and I'm just like, what is this hype about black soap? Like, I can't, it's tearing my skin apart. Like, and not to mention my rag is all black. Like, what is the problem? So finally, I was in a store where I buy my essential oils from, and there was a black soap in there because a lot of my customers were asking me for black soap. So I tried the black soap, and it was just amazing to me. It did not break me out. It did not dry my skin. And there was a phone number on the bottle, and I contacted the man. He lives in the Bronx, but he has, he's African. You can barely understand what he's saying. His accent's so strong. But he has a business in Africa, and he was giving me like the history on the black soap. And he was saying if it turns your rag black, it has dye in it. That is not a real authentic black soap. And the type of plant that he uses cannot be made here in the U.S. So if someone's telling you they making black soap in their backyard, in their kitchen, that is just, it's not an authentic type of black soap. Just like shea butter, I can't tell you I'm growing a shea butter plant in my backyard because that just would not make sense. So yeah, I mean,
it black soap also though. You got to be careful with it because if you use too much of it, it will dry you out.
Right? No, it will.
You only need a little tiny bit of black soap. You can have a bottle of black soap for a long time, and your skin will be clean. And you do not need to use this in a large quantity. Right. And when it became popular, this is when people started saying they're making it, and everybody's got black soap now. Everybody's got black soap, but when your skin tells you something, you know that it's not the real deal. It's not authentic. I wanted to make sure that you share the audience. Your information with the audience. You do have a sample of something that you
this is for you.
Oh, okay.
All right. For you. This is something that I'm working on. This is a multi-purpose cleanser. And I know that you travel a lot, and
yes, yes,
and
yes.
Girl,
I'm going to Walla
right.
Walla next week. Oh, tomorrow I'm leaving for Walla Walla. I didn't even know there was a place called Walla Walla.
So I wanted to create something that you can use. You don't have to bring a shampoo. You don't have to bring a soap. You don't have to bring toothpaste, and for men, shave. So this is a multi-purpose cleanser, and I put it like in a foam, so men can shave with it. So I want to just read some of the ingredients and some of the benefits, because you can use it as a shampoo, you can shave with it, you can brush your teeth with it, and it's an everyday cleanser. And so I have Castile soap is in it, so that's what helps it to foam, and it's Dr. Bonner. And if anybody knows anything about Dr. Bonner, it was just on the news the other day how it's all natural, and they do not use any parabens, any type of, or
they've been around forever.
Mm-hmm. So it's the Castile soap. I put cinnamon, because cinnamon helps with your hair. It helps to thicken your hair, and it helps to clear up the pores in your skin. I have clove in it, because clove is good for your gums. If you have a toothache, you can put clove directly, essential oil, clove directly on your gums. I have a honey in it to help moisturize your skin and your hair. And I have lavender, lemongrass, and I have an olive oil in it as well. So it's just tons of other. Tea tree is really good for bacteria and all types of stuff. So I just kind of made it. So it's kind of in the testing stages.
I'm gonna be the practice.
Right. So maybe that's another show. You come back and you be like, oh my God. It saved the world, type of thing. So, yeah, so this is your gift.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I thank you for agreeing to be a guest today on Chronic Visibility. I thank you so much. And guys, if you would like to try some of Nina's products, I'm going to have her tell you where you can find more information about her, your website and things like that.
Yes. You can go to www.npocreations.com, or you can reach me on Facebook at NPO fan page, and also my email is npocreations@gmail.com.
And once again, thank you for coming, and I thank you for being here, and have a great day. Take care.